Why couldn't I have done this trying an ollie hard flip down a 10 stair? I mean, at least I'd have a good story for it rather than this silly clip. In celebration of America's Independence Day, I spent a decent portion of last week up in the North Carolina, hiking some mountains, enjoying some time out on the lake, and just generally relaxing and exploring a little bit. I did shave. I think it took 5 or 6 years off my face. I looked a lot younger. During this trip, I really didn't have a great location to skate, and so there was a little bit of a lapse of about 6 days between my last skate session. And so when I returned home, I was eager to get back on the board. I wanted to get out to Candyland Skate Park as early as I could in order to beat the heat and some of the crowds. However, I ended up procrastinating a decent bit in the morning and didn't quite get out there until about midday, which turned out to be a terrible mistake. I skated for about 2 hours in approximately the hottest time of the day and was absolutely exhausted. I even suffered a little bit from dehydration sickness. I am just devoid of all energy. My head is pounding and I feel slightly nauseous. All I can really do is just sit here and lay. It wasn't a great experience. On top of that, I was having a decent bit of issues with my shoes. They have not held up very well. I mentioned before that the laces rip very often and the tongues don't have the elastic bands to hold them in place, so it felt as though my foot within the shoe was being fairly compromised in terms of its position. So after the skate park, I made a quick errand out to one of the local skate shops and picked up a brand new pair of shoes. Eager to try out the new skate shoes, I wanted to return back to Candyland in the evening to rectify the poor skate session I had had earlier on in the day. But I decided to keep it fairly close by and just went up the road to the local skate spot that I discovered perfect for rainy day sessions. It wasn't raining, but it was still quite hot and sunny, and this location at least provided a decent bit of shade to keep me cool. I was having quite a decent skate session at the rainy day spot, getting a bit creative with some trick variations. There is a little ramp to the entrance of the building, and it provides a little bit of a cool little kicker, if you will. I hadn't really skated it much, so I decided to give it a few tricks, and I was wanting to try a few flip tricks over it. I began with the kick flip, which ended up giving me a little bit of trouble. My kick flips aren't that solid. They're not actually my favorite flip trick in the slightest, but I definitely did not anticipate hurting myself to the degree that I ended up hurting myself. You see, I stuck one to try before, but I ended up being a little too heavy on the toe side and wheel biting, not rolling away. And so I was eager, I was forcing myself to commit to the next one. It overflipped, my front foot overshot the board. I rolled my ankle the most severely I've ever rolled my ankle before. It was quite frightening initially because I felt my ankle pop as I landed with my foot overturned, and initially I thought I'd broken my ankle. It was extremely painful and I limped my way back to my car, managed to drive myself home, crawled up the stairs, and essentially laid down for the rest of the evening. Naturally, my foot is extremely swollen, black and blue, bruised all the way through, and I've been doing my best to elevate it as much as I can, ice it intermittently, and also taking some anti-inflammatories to try and reduce some of the swelling. After about 36 hours of the injury, it definitely feels a lot better than it did at first. I'm quite positive that it's not broken because I'm able to put a little bit of weight on it, I'm able to get around, and I'm somewhat mobile. However, I will be out of commission for skateboarding for at least a few days, if not a couple of weeks. And so there may be a little bit of a lapse in skateboarding content. I will continue to do my best to put out consistent videos for you guys, but they may not be quite so skateboarding heavy in the next couple of days as I rest up and try to let my ankle and foot heal as much as possible. I'm really kind of annoyed with myself that I hurt myself in such a way trying such a simple trick. Why couldn't I have done this trying a nollie hard flip down a 10 stair? I mean, at least I'd have a good story for it rather than this silly clip.
Ew, disgusting.